Off the Firth of Clyde, the oil tanker Trocus picks up the pilot. She is homeward bound from Curacao with 10,000 tons of oil in her tanks. The Trocus is just one of 500 tankers controlled by the oil shipping departments.
Well, what about Swansea?
We could divert the Freedom from Antwerp. The Adventura's coming along now. She ought to make our Antwerp date.
Isn't the Trocus in a better position?
Oh no, she's definitely allocated to Ardrossan. In fact, word has just come in that she's due there now.
The Trocus is bound for Ardrossan to meet the needs of that part of Britain which stretches up through Ayrshire, the Clyde Valley, over the sea to Skye and north to Cape Royal. The pipes are fitted. The pumps begin and 10,000 tons of oil are added to the supplies.
Matthew Brown, Glasgow, 1,000 gallons of spirit. In locked logs, 200 gallons vaporizing oil. The fishing boat Nighthawk. Give me dispatch, please.
Kerosene, petrol, lubricating oil and fuel oil. Tanks on the road, tanks on the railway. Go out from Ardrossan, going north to Fort William, east to Lanark, south to Dumfries and northeast to Glasgow. All machinery moves on a film of oil. Maybe only a film 1/1000th of an inch thick, but it is the secret of modern movement and modern power. Glasgow is a city of industry, a city of factories. In the docks are the ships of modern commerce. Each ship represents a turning propeller, a plunging engine, a whirling turbine. Steel at speed, steel surfaces against steel surfaces. 1,000,000 horsepower in a single vista of shipping. At Clyde Bridge are the furnaces for making steel. Clyde Bank, steel is turned into more ships, more machinery, moving steel parts, more power for making things and conveying things. At Kincaid Works, K123 is nearly finished. K123 is a diesel engine driven on heavy oil. It has to go through its test tonight, and it represents 50,000 horsepower and will drive the ship Atlanta on its voyages between Southampton and Montreal. It has many thousand parts. 1,500 gallons of oil are needed to lubricate the moving parts. It will be tested tonight for the first time. Thousands of parts will work together for the first time. Down in the yards at Falmouth, James Stewart, driver of the Coronation Scot, is drawing his ration of lamp oil and lubricating oil for his engine. He will make the 400-mile journey to London in 6.5 hours. And inside its engine, steel surfaces will bear against steel surfaces, sometimes at a speed of 75 feet per second. An oil film of 1/1000th of an inch will be all there is to prevent two high-speed steel surfaces from burning themselves out. Out in the streets, Glasgow's buses and trams are plying to and fro, carrying the population of 1.25 million about their daily business, taking them over to Edinburgh, up to Perth, along the new highways of modern communication.
wants 300 gallons of diesel oil to be delivered alongside Ardrossan Pier at 4:30 this afternoon. Is that all right? What about those orders for Islay? I've just had word they'll have to go sooner.
Northwest from Glasgow lies the island of Islay. A simple, very different community of 5,000 people. Out in the bay, Sandy Livingston is hauling his herring nets. Down at the lighthouse, Robert Mackay is preparing the ground for next season's potato crop. John Macpherson and his brother are out on the moss stacking peats. Hugh McNeil is carting withies, bedding for his cattle. The island even keeps its own language.
What's the Gaelic for sheep?
Crude.
It is an island of crofters, good peat water and fine whisky. Over at Lathroig, Mr. Hunter is blending his Islay mist, a whisky with a fine malt flavour. It is 12 o'clock at the pier and the steamer Loch Shiel is in. Here on the quayside, with a cargo from the mainland, you see as you never see in a city like Glasgow, an entire picture of the life and needs of a community. For Mr. Macaulay at the shop in Port Askaig, the butter and the cheese. For Hector McDougall, farmer at Emeryvale, a calf. Sausages for Duncan Curry in Port Ellen. Then there's the pram. It's for Mrs. MacArthur's new baby up at Cornwall's. Eve Niley is caught up in the march of mechanical development. The old quiet ways are good enough for Maggie Moore, and Richard Edwards, thatching his cottage, is content with the old ways too. But the new ways are penetrating the life of Islay at 100 points. Motor buses wait for the passengers and the mails, bringing the letters from sons and relatives that have gone to work in the machine shops in Glasgow or have crossed the sea to Canada or Australia. There are tires for Peter Campbell's garage, a drum of kerosene for the new tractor working on the farm at Islay House. The pram makes the final stage of its journey by lorry.
Carl Sheriff, you brought the pram at last, Duncan.
Yes, here it is. How's the baby, Mary?
Just a minute, I'll get her.
A bonny pram for a bonny Neenock.
One sensational development makes Islay seem almost more modern than any town on the mainland. It has its own airport, and the daily plane has just come over from Renfrew, bringing back yesterday's travellers to the big city, cutting down the distance across the sea from 8 hours to a matter of 75 minutes. For farmers like Mr. McTaggart, it saves time and money. For Miss McKechnie with a broken arm, it means a fast and comfortable journey. And here is the motorboat that takes the stores, mails and newspapers up to Ruval Lighthouse. The watch and ward of the coast means a great deal to the life of Islay. It lies out into the broad Atlantic and stands against the elements. It commands the ship route south to the Clyde and the north-about route through the Pentland Firth to Europe. While Glasgow's industrial life is run on oil, the watch and ward of the western coast is run on oil too. The Glasgow workers are leaving the factories and the yards. The men on K123 are preparing for the big test. The Scottish Regional Station is in action, sending out the weather forecast. And they're giving a gale warning for the west coast. It means little to Mrs. Davidson preparing tea in Glasgow, but it means a great deal to Islay. A storm at sea touches the life of everyone on the island.
Hello, this is Roval.
Tell Peter to put up the south cone, will you?
The South Cone, did you say?
Yes.
That's the third time this week. I'll tell him.
Bad weather means that the street lights of Port Ellen must be put up. On a moonlight night, they go by the light of the moon, but tonight it is dark. It means an SOS off the rims. Back in Glasgow, K123 swings into life. Outside, engines are at work everywhere, maintaining a modern city with modern ways of life. Engines for the cinemas. Engines for the ice rinks. Engines for buses and trams. The great city is moving towards the day's end, and it is still moving on oil. But out in Islay, the lifeboat drives its way through the night. As the lighthouse flashes, oil is doing a job no less important in the service of the community.